to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon.
With 2 seconds on the clock. He hits it!
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it. The Ducks have won.
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
Dante will dribble it out. The Ducks are Pac-12 tournament champions.
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Oregon's a Fiesta Bowl champion in a 12-win season.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Baseball with a good win at Portland last night. The Ducks really needed to avenge a loss from earlier in the season. Pilots got them pretty good at PK Park. Now starting a little 4-game road trip. Ducks in Portland last night. UCLA, the opponent, in Los Angeles Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'll make that trip with them. Ryan Milano will be back with you on Thursday, Friday, and maybe even Monday. I think he'll be here Monday. Yeah, he'll be here Monday. This is Duck Insider. I'm Joey Mack. Thanks for being with us. Baseball, we'll talk about that a bit last night. Maybe the Ducks have found their fourth starter, which is a great sign. You're going to need that not just in the midweek games, potentially for postseason tournaments. You need that pitching depth. We'll also talk about Maddie Elmore. What a job from her leading, really, the Pac-12. Everyone in the Pac-12. I was about to say leading Pac-12 track and field, but the way that she has performed in breaking a 3+ decade-old record in Oregon track and field history, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Also, women's golf with some individuals at the Augusta National Women's Amateur. Acrobatics and tumbling prepares for a big-time meet. And our scholarship reception is tonight. We'll talk about that. Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com. Coming up, Terrence Ferguson, Jeffrey Bossa, Marcus Harper met with the media yesterday after the third spring football practice for the Ducks. Didn't get to their full interviews yesterday. Ryan didn't, so we have them for you today. And then the Ducks are back on the practice field tomorrow for spring football practice number 4. A foul ball last night. Something that I have only ever seen in a movie. This is true. A foul ball off the bat of a Pilot in the 6th inning went up, shattered a light bulb, ball came back down, shards of glass everywhere. It's like the natural, exactly. John Sargent, who's in charge of concessions here at the University of Oregon Athletic Department, texted me and he said, hey, it's like the natural, except at least Roy Hobbs' was a home run. Yeah, this was the foul pole that was, well, not the foul pole. This was the light pole that was down the first base line. So imagine that the baseline from first to second base extended into foul ground, right behind the Oregon dugout, right at the end of the Oregon dugout. And, I mean, you could hear just, poof, you heard it. And then it's just this shower of glass, and the Ducks are all ducking like, oh. And then this is true. No one skipped a beat. The Ducks run out of the dugout. They're starting to pick up glass pieces. The Pilots run from the third base dugout to pick up glass pieces. And the whole time I'm like, no one cut your fingers. Like, especially for a pitcher. A blister for a pitcher in baseball can be devastating. I've never seen this before. But the Ducks were out there on the turf just picking up pieces of glass and then just got right back to playing baseball. It takes a village, you know? So, and then there was a Pilot staff member who went out there with a broom and a dustpan, and by the time he got there, it was like, we're good. Everything had been picked up. I can honestly say I have never seen that before. Have you, Scott? I mean, you've been watching baseball longer than me. I've never seen a foul ball just go and take out a light bulb. And it was like, you know when you hear in movies those sound effects that you think are fake because they're so on point for like what it's supposed to sound like, right? Like, we all know in movies there's like one yell. What's it called again? Scott's the movie guy. There's one yell that you hear in like every movie, the ah! right? It sounds the same every time. It's like that's what we think a person like falling from a great distance should sound like. This was that noise for a ball shattering a glass bulb in a socket. Like you heard the socket. Perfection. And the Ducks got a win against a team that was ranked at number 42 in the RPI coming into play. The Pilots have been good this year, folks. Oregon moved up 13 spots in the RPI last night. The Ducks are at number 51. They sit at 20-7. Oregon at 20 wins after the victory over the Pilots last night. Portland dropping that game. It dropped them 8 spots in the RPI. The Pilots were at 42. And actually, they moved up a couple spots based on some other games, then dropped 8 spots. They're at 48 right now. I'm telling you, it's good for Oregon that Portland is good under Jeff Loomis. 9 years he's been the head coach. They've steadily gotten better. They renovated Joe Etzel Field. There's just not a lot of regional opponents here around Oregon that's a bus trip on a Tuesday like the Pilots are. It's good for the Ducks to have a positive RPI game and a high RPI ranked team that you can bust to. Because otherwise, the Ducks are playing, for example, San Francisco when they're already at Stanford. They're staying an extra day and playing on a Monday. The Ducks can play Gonzaga, and sometimes they do that on the back end of being in Pullman. Sometimes they play Seattle in a 4-game series like they did earlier this year, but there's not a lot of opportunities in the Pacific Northwest to play those teams. Well, in the RPI calculation, that can hurt you because you got to find games. You got to find a way to play your 50-plus game schedule, 56-game schedule. Portland being good helps the Ducks. It's great for the state. I really love Joe Etzel Field. I think they've done a really nice job at that ballpark. Ducks got a nice win. That's what these midweek games are supposed to do, and they can bolster your resume. Ducks, again, 20-7, and playing a midweek game jumped 13 spots in the RPI. Going on the road, getting a win, really, really valuable. And they did it because Michael Friend was excellent. Neither team played great defensively. 7 combined errors in the game. But Michael Friend, in his 3rd win of the season for the Ducks, in his 2nd career start, career high in innings pitched. He went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned. He walked 1, struck out a career high 7. Michael Friend afterwards talked about how he performed, and to be honest, the Ducks have found their 4th starter. Depending on what Blake Hawksworth and Mark Wasikowski decide to do, Mike Friend looks like the 5th starter for the Ducks. He talked postgame with Todd Miles.
Back-to-back pretty good starts for you. You've been coming out of the bullpen. Just your thoughts on tonight's game?
It was a lot of fun. You know, Portland brought out a great crowd. It was a good atmosphere to play in, and it was just fun competing with the guys.
Just your thoughts of working, starting as opposed to coming out of the pen, and how successful you were.
Yes, sir. It's, in my opinion, it's easier. You get to prepare. Like I said, the last start, it's just nice to kind of have times for everything you do, and you kind of know when you're going to go in and go out. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun today.
He actually was a reliever at Umpqua Community College before transferring to play for the Ducks, because he anticipated being a reliever at Oregon. He talked with the coaching staff. They all agreed, hey, let's move you to the bullpen, because he'd been a starter. Well, now, look, isn't that amazing how that works out sometimes? The Ducks have found their 4th starter. Mike Friend can be that guy. And then Jeffrey Hurd, who was out of the lineup in the finale against Seattle because he got thrown out of a ball game, made a couple really nice defensive plays, including a catch at the wall, and then he doubled up a runner at first base to end the inning. He's a difference maker, went 1 for 4. He's hitting around 500 with runners in scoring position. Jeffrey Hurd is. Ducks with a nice 7-4 win. And really, I think Mark Wasikowski would say the Ducks didn't play clean baseball, and Oregon had let's just say a subpar performance with runners in scoring position. But the Ducks were really good with 2 outs. They were 5 for 15 with 2 outs. Majority of their runs were scored with 2 outs. But the Ducks went 3 for 15 with runners in scoring position. So the takeaway, you get a couple more timely hits, you extend your lead. But the Ducks did get some timely hits, particularly early, to get out to the lead against Portland. And I'm looking for Oregon to take advantage of a couple more scoring opportunities against UCLA. Ducks are going to like the results because where things stand after all the movement in the conference, Ducks were on their bye week last week. The Ducks are 6-3, And even though there's a discrepancy in number of games played in conference because some teams have had their bye week like the Ducks, others haven't, Oregon is in first place in the conference standings right now. Ducks are 6-3, and then get this: you got Utah, Arizona 7-5. The Beavers are 5-3, and because USC beat the Beavs in 2 games, and then they had a game get rained out, the Beavs are sitting half a game behind the Ducks. Don't look now, but that series in Corvallis, spring game weekend, I'm just saying, a lot going on that weekend. Going to be fun. Talking about Maddie Elmore, for a second time in her career, she's been named the Pac-12 Women's Runner of the Week. Eugene, Oregon native won the invitational section of the 5,000 meters at the Stanford Invitational, an NCAA leading time, and a school record performance. Stopped the clock at 15:15.79 last Friday evening, a 39-year-old Oregon mark. So I've been saying 3+ decades, really the better way. About 4-decade-old record at the University of Oregon. Kathy Hayes was the previous record holder from 1985. Kathy Hayes is a University of Oregon Athletic Department Hall of Famer. Elmore's outing on Friday, school record number 2. I mean, that's wild. When you have a performance like that, it's hard to put into words. Like, that's a record that was almost 4 decades old. Pac-12 honoring her, and absolutely the Pac-12 should. Women's golf, Yana Wilson, Kiara Romero, and Ashley Park are competing in the Augusta National Women's Amateur coming up. They're underway at Augusta. The Masters is coming up. This is part of kind of the Masters festivities. It's one of the premier events in women's collegiate golf, the Augusta National Women's Amateur. Best of luck to the 3 Ducks and Yana Wilson, Kiara Romero, and Ashley Park. And then Oregon Acrobatics and Tumbling host top-ranked Baylor in the final home meet of the season, Friday at Matthew Knight Arena. Preview now available on GoDucks.com. Number 4 Ducks coming off a season-best performance against Hawaii Pacific will need to match that quality in order to take down the 8-time defending champion Baylor Bears. Friday, April 5th, Matthew Knight Arena, 5 o'clock. It is Senior Day. You can watch on Pac-12 Oregon. Our own Knight Ureski got the call to have play-by-play coming up for the Pac-12 broadcast. For Oregon Acrobatics and Tumbling. Be the 37th meeting between Oregon and Baylor. See if the Ducks can get it done. I also wanted to note before we talk with Rob Moseley, a really special night for those who make athletic scholarships possible around the University of Oregon. Our annual scholarship reception is tonight. I hope to see many of you. Maybe you're driving in and you're listening to the show. I'm really looking forward to seeing many of you who make the dream possible for Oregon student-athletes. That's tonight, a chance to celebrate student-athletes in attendance and those that make this dream possible. Pretty cool. When we return, Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com, we're going to talk some spring football. Yeah. Practice number 3 in the books, practice number 4 tomorrow for spring football. The spring game, the 14th practice, if you're keeping track. Talking with Rob next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says,
avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Coach Financial Studio. Rob Moseley's here, folks, the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com. It was spring practice number 3, Quack Minute practice report, but it was spring practice number 1 for us because you've been a well-traveled soul. How the heck are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good.
You got dressed with some courage this morning.
Why is that? Went with white?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would immediately spill something on that, and that would be useless forever.
So I only have maybe like 3 white sweatshirt pullover options.
Yeah,
and it just worked today.
Okay.
Mostly, it was the first one in the closet.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I have a really
Godspeed getting through today without sullying it.
It's not supposed to rain really today.
I'd be worried more about a burrito dripping or coffee dripping or
I mean, maybe it's a granola bar kind of day.
Right.
But
you have a young child.
You are a coffee man.
Yes.
Well, and I'm the first to admit, so many people who know me well know this. I do not like to be dirty. It's been a thing since I was a kid. You know what's actually scary is my son is already showing some of that tendency.
Mm-hmm.
Like he'll eat something that gets his hands dirty and he's like, nope, don't like this. So I change when I get home. As soon as I'm around him,
so nothing gets nothing.
You've got
you really care about
the work
dirty.
clothes
Right.
at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that took a left turn.
Yeah.
Do you not wear anything white? Then I feel like I've seen you wear white things
every once in a while. Yeah, but same thing. It's really rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, black, green, good colors.
Yeah. We might differ in this a little bit. I tend to wait until I get a pretty good tan going. Which happens for me fairly easily.
Not for me. I'm a lobster.
Right. You're gonna
Los Angeles outdoor broadcast location this weekend.
Yeah.
See what we look like next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sunscreen will be excessive. So I'm going to start with something fun talking about baseball for you.
Okay.
So we're having a second kid. So I've been kind of rearranging.
I don't know if I knew that. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Due in May, so we're hoping, maybe he'll be early and then I can get back to baseball postseason. So no pressure to kiddo number 2. But as a result, house gets rearranged a little bit. So probably similar to you, I've got a lot of, Oregon stuff that has accumulated. Just look at my desk, right, over the years. Well, there's been some that have ended up rolled up in rolls like this or whatever. So I was cleaning things out, and I found just an absolute classic.
Oh, yeah.
So do you remember this? Those of you who are watching the show, the I Want You at PK Park with George Horton.
Coach.
Just one of the many great posters that have been produced by the University of Oregon Athletic Department, which brings me to my question. Do you have any that have stuck out? And I know the poster series has been really popular for men's basketball the last few years. Bringing in students to design those posters has been awesome. But this just I thought we'd go a little different direction today. Do you have any that just come to mind? We have some in the studio that are maybe iconic.
Yeah, I mean, recently that Grateful Dead themed one for men's basketball.
Oh, special for you.
Yeah, last year for sure that Davis did. That was great.
I think that was made for you.
He's a fellow head.
Yeah.
So we travel the same spiritual path.
Right.
And
right. We have it up over there.
Yeah, I'm staring at it right now. The one that I have hanging at my desk is the one of Mariota crossing one of the bridges into Manhattan that was released.
It's over there behind Scott.
Yeah, for his Heisman.
That's great.
Yeah. Not his Heisman campaign because they didn't really do a campaign, but
to
acknowledge that he was going there to collect his well-earned wares.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I tend to be, I tell everyone this who does Courts for Kids, those kids are going to be like your family for life.
Right.
And so, like, I have some posters. There were a couple lacrosse kids that I did Course for Kids with, and so I still have their like poster from that season
Senior
where
year
two
kind
of the
of thing,
three kids players on the poster were kids that I went to Nicaragua with.
Right.
I have a couple softball players who are on that trip, and I have their like senior day posters hanging at my desk too.
Yeah, I love
those
that.
have different kind of meaning.
The probably most historic example is the Joey Heisman poster. Right. We have one of those in the studio. I have an affinity to the Join the Force poster, the Stormtrooper uniform, that one. So you'll notice that in the studio, a lot of the ones that are framed are the ones that I've collected over the years that are pretty fun.
The Join the Force one is on the walls in the equipment room.
Yeah.
And it's wild to look at that and think about the dudes that are in that poster.
Yeah, a lot of NFL talent in that poster,
in there,
to say the least.
Defoe's in there.
Armstead was in there.
Fisher, Armstead, Hronis.
The
newly married Hronis. Efo should have been a dude in the NFL.
Yeah.
Let's see, that's Derek Malone.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is, I thought we'd
Tyler
just go
Johnstone.
an entire different direction to start today because I found the classic, the I Want You at PK Park. Do you think Waz would recreate it? I think Waz could do it.
Sure, yeah. Like a throwback?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we have the throwback uniform.
Right.
I don't know.
In the spirit of a throwback.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think it'd be great. Anyway, I thought that you would have some that have stuck out over the years.
Yep.
I mean, there's some for sure. Okay, spring football, practice number 3. We talked on the Quack Minute that it was the first time because the Ducks had 2 practices, then it was spring break. You and I were traveling with basketball. First time for us. A lot of checking the roster, right?
No doubt. And I was quite distracted as well in a good way.
Yeah.
Because I had a photo intern.
That's right.
Working for me. I'm not sure anybody has picked up on this.
Can we tell the fans who
it's
the
on the
photo intern
website?
was? Good.
You go to the practice report and look at the photo credit.
The photo credit is
from yesterday's practice.
Yeah, well done.
It's a name that
Sneaky.
men's basketball fans will know.
Yeah, sneaky.
So yeah, I spent about the first hour working with said photo intern.
Read the practice report.
Right.
This is your tease. Read the practice report. Alex Stimson, who's in the studio, is literally going to the practice report right now.
Yeah.
Now, which did you use? Did you use proper name or nickname?
Proper name.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
He's told me on first ID he always wanted proper name, and then I could go with the nickname.
Got it. So. Yeah, people might be confused at who we're referencing, but as soon as you'll see it, it'll be like, bam, it'll hit you. So you'll get it. Anywho, so yeah, I was like distracted by that. Again, in a good way. Distracted's not the right word, but
occupied.
Right, occupied. Yeah. Yes. And then I had like another 45 minutes to try to kind of wrap my head around what I was seeing. But I think really for me, tomorrow morning is going to be the day I really start wrapping my head around, all the number changes, new additions. Kind of what practice groups look like, things like that. Yesterday was a little bit. I was a little bit all over the place.
And to that point, I'll be gone tomorrow with Oregon baseball, so that means I will be getting all the updates from you.
So I really have to pay attention.
So yeah, the practice report, I will read every word twice of that practice report,
all right.
Like many people do.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Do you hear from folks like when you didn't have a practice report for numbers 1 and 2? Like, were there people that were like, Rob?
No, I mean, the nature of the practice report has changed so much compared to 4 or 5 years ago. So, I mean, I completely understand that. I think the demand for that is not what it used to be.
Fair. I mean, I still care, Rob.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah. Totally. I'm sure my mom clicks.
That's good.
But certainly in the past, there would be, people needed their fix.
Yeah, no doubt. Rob Moseley joining us, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. So spring football, I mean, that garners a lot of attention, Rob. And, I always say that when you have an assistant coach that goes somewhere else, it's usually because something is going right. And I felt like Coach Lanning answered a lot of those questions with a new running back coach. The Ducks are on the search, but they can take their time because there's a lot of people that are already on staff, a lot of people that are interested. I mean, I think it says a lot about where Oregon is as a program.
Yeah, and we've reflected too on just the way college football staffs have changed over the years too.
For real.
And so you're just staffed up to the extent now that there are a lot of people with deep knowledge of the program and the personnel and the offense that are around that you can kind of move some pieces around and feel like, at least when it comes to the day-to-day operations of running meetings and running practice drills and all like that, you can certainly kind of keep momentum going that way. Obviously, that filling that position, with somebody who's got recruiting chops and player development chops, obviously is a priority. And maybe somebody on staff is that person.
Yeah.
Maybe it's somebody that you look outside to find. But in terms of I think kind of the day-to-day operations getting through this spring. I think Coach Lanning made pretty clear they feel like they can keep things rolling without too much of a hitch.
We're going to talk more spring football. Rob Moseley with us. He's the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com. I'm Joey Mack. Continuing talking Ducks on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear spring showers, these tough Toyotas can handle whatever you got. The rugged Tacoma, trail-ready 4Runner, and the versatile RAV4 Hybrid turn your puddles into playtime. For more, visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear spring showers, these tough Toyotas can handle whatever you got. The rugged Tacoma, trail-ready 4Runner, and the versatile RAV4 Hybrid turn your puddles into playtime. For more, visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Continuing our conversation, Rob Moseley joined us a little bit earlier. He went over to Oregon softball media availability. We'll have those interviews for you on the show later in the week. Part 2 of our chat with Rob. Another topic that we covered in the Quack Minute yesterday, some veterans now, right? Like guys like Terrence Ferguson, Jeffrey Bassa. You heard a bit from them yesterday. We have their full interviews on the show for you coming up in just a moment after Rob's done, because, we got to get Rob's take on this. But, hey, a lot of veterans on this team, and I think it's every spring I'm reminded that, hey, a few guys that were veterans move on, and then in just a few months, it's almost like some of these guys like Terrence Ferguson and Jeffrey Bassa that have been leaders, now it's like, all right, you're really the leader, and you're a veteran now. It's always amazing, I feel like, in that few months, the change that can occur.
Yeah, I think, Jeff Boss is a guy who has been that
He's
guy
done it
for a couple years now, and so, obviously you just look for him to take that just to the next level, but, you're talking margins here now that where his voice can increase or anything like that, because he's been kind of that guy. But yeah, I think you look at a Marcus Harper, who's always been charismatic, outgoing, willing to speak out. But now you've got a couple seasons under your belt. You've got some older veterans that have moved on. Now you feel like maybe you can put that voice to use in a different way, or a Terrence Ferguson, who I think is a little quieter guy, generally speaking, compared to those other, to Boss and Harper, who we heard from yesterday. So now it's like, hey, you be yourself, but also, we might need you to have a little different kind of a voice, a little more of a voice, to the extent you're comfortable, because of the chops that you've earned as a leader and the direction we need you to help provide. So it's. And, again, another way that college athletics has changed so much is, guys who, probably would have felt like it was a fairly easy decision to try to test the draft waters a few years ago. Now that can become a tougher decision because of some of the opportunities that exist in college athletics. So, and I think we see that in basketball as well, where teams are just a little older. And some of that had to do the last few years with the extra COVID year. But I just think that's it's a harder decision now for some guys to go pro or to stay in school. College staying in school is even more attractive now. Sure. In some ways to some people than it was. So. That's changed the dynamic a lot.
Talk about some of the veterans too. Like, I wanted to ask you this week about the Mighty Oregon podcast. I feel like every couple of weeks, right, when you're releasing episodes, we talk about it. But the last few have been like big time alums, and you talk about how things have changed and shifted. I mean, Jess Moore, Scott McGuff, Marty Lunan, and LeGarrette Blount, your recent guests. I've noticed, right, like hearing from some of those alumni, I've been thinking about like, man, it is different even 10 years ago for some of those athletes.
Yeah, or even 5 years ago. Yeah. The way the landscape has changed. So, and it continues to. I mean, you listen to people in the industry talk now, and they think if you thought the last 5 years was a lot of change, wait, you ain't seen nothing yet. The next 5 years are going to be even more. So, guys like you and me aren't smart enough to know kind of what that looks like. I know I can speak for myself. I think I probably speak for you as well.
1,000%.
But so we'll just sit back and watch and kind of see where this train goes. But it is in such a fascinating time to be in this industry.
Similar note though, talking with LeGarrette Blount, it had to be a fun conversation.
No doubt about it. He's obviously lived. He's packed a whole lot of life experience into the years he's been on the planet so far. Highs and lows and triumphs and some tribulations and. Really fascinating to talk to him, a guy I was hoping to talk to for a while now. So thanks. We had some folks in administration that kind of helped work that out. So I really appreciated that, and I think the conversation went well. Hope people enjoy it. Obviously, there's one key element from his time here that stands out to most people, and we didn't ignore it, but we also didn't dwell on it too much either. He's lived a lot of life. So one of the things that stood out to me is him talking about like. Track and field and how important that was to his development. And, I continue to think back at what it must have been like to be another kid entered in a track meet to walk out and see LeGarrette Blount in the lane next to you. I mean, he's just so physically developed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree.
No, this is the high school race. I am in high school. Okay.
One of the things that you and I at least I like to do when you and I talk on this segment every week is a little bit of like inside the operation. And so one of the best stories actually in my career that I've ever been told actually is about LeGarrette Blount. So I wanted to bring this up and see if you even remembered this. So we don't take calls on Duck Insider, like traditional radio show, right?
Sure.
Well, that's because it's on multiple stations and multiple platforms and it's on at different times, right? Well, that didn't used to be the case. When Jerry hosted the show, and it was on a single radio station here in Eugene on KUGN, well, you can imagine the phone calls were plentiful for a lot of different reasons after said game.
Yeah.
And I actually went back, because Jerry told me about this, went back and listened to that show, years ago.
Oh, wow.
To hear just how Jerry – because I wanted to know, okay, how did Jerry navigate that?
Yeah.
Right? Fascinating.
Yeah.
Just fascinating. That really is.
That's a tough spot.
It's a tough spot, but it's also, I felt like, an example of, Jerry took calls. Some were on one side, some were on another.
Yeah.
Just the level of, at the end of the 2 hours, how everyone was like, well, there's a lot of different perspectives in the world. I thought, well, that's a good lesson, a good reminder at any point in our lives, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hasn't that been reinforced a lot in the intervening years? I worked at the Register Guard at that point. And one of the things I remember the most is because that was a Thursday game, I had driven to Boise with some friends and then drove back and stopped at the Gorge. That's always the weekend Dave Matthews plays the Gorge. And usually
worked out well for you.
Usually there was a football game that weekend, but because it was a Thursday game, there wasn't. And I remember we stopped for lunch in a fast food joint on Friday. And they had a TV that was on SportsCenter or something, and that was all they were talking about. And I was like, "Oh, this is a big deal."
It's a thing.
Yeah.
But,
because we were online at that point. I think I was on Twitter already at that point. But I mean, in terms of the information environment we're in now, I mean, it's so different even back then. Yeah, I remember that was when I realized, okay, this is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered if that had been a Saturday game, just how different kind of with the
because it wasn't the only game going on.
Right.
It's a really interesting point. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah. Anyway, I just when you had LeGarrette Blount on, I thought, well, I got to bring this up because but like for me, it was really helpful to hear. Because this position is you and I's position are unique, right? Like we've talked about this a number of times. I just thought it was fascinating. One thing also that you brought up on Twitter, actually, it's the app form, whatever.
Right.
It's on Twitter. Locals making an impact. That's always kind of fun when that happens around here. But having a lot of them line up the way they did over the weekend, that was fun.
Yeah, with Matty Elmore, breaking that 5K record, that was kind of the headline. But what Betcher's doing, and then what Maddox Maloney did in baseball, and Ariel Carlson in softball, leading the conference in RBIs entering this week. Big series for them at home against Washington. Even had a Beach kid who's from up the road in Monroe who had a really nice weekend. So, it's probably been since 2016, when Herbert took over as the quarterback. Lexi Bando was still playing women's basketball. Maggie Schmadek was such a key to that track and field Triple Crown. It's probably been since then that I was struck to this extent by the number of locals playing big roles, and it's cool. I mean, it's that they're not more special, but than kids from other places, but it is really, really fun, and I know local fans get a kick out of it too. So
no doubt,
yeah,
no doubt. What are you covering this weekend? What's on the agenda?
I'm going to be at softball Friday, Saturday.
Sweet.
We got football practice obviously Saturday morning too. And then I am getting on a plane Sunday morning and going to Toronto.
Nice.
Seeing the Penguins Monday.
Go Pens.
And then the Blue Jays and the Mariners of all teams on Tuesday. And then flying home Wednesday, so I won't be here next Wednesday.
So we won't see you.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Been a pleasure.
Yeah, lucky you.
Yeah, well, sometimes we get lucky. Right. He's Rob Moseley, the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com. Hey, enjoy the trip to Toronto, huh?
Hey, thanks, bro.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing all about it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, suddenly maybe the Penguins will be in the playoffs. They're surging, and if they can beat the Maple Leafs on Monday.
Is surging relative, or is that
true?
100%.
Okay,
yeah, right.
Still on the outside looking in, but back kind of in the conversation.
Yeah, but Toronto, though, this is big on your Major League Ballpark tour, right?
Yeah, so once I see the Blue Jays, I'll have seen every current team play a home game, not necessarily in their current stadium, but every current team play a home game except for the Marlins.
Time to make it to
book a trip to Miami.
Yeah,
maybe next summer.
You got to go to Paris the following summer.
Yeah. I don't mean this upcoming.
Do you have to fly near Florida to get to Paris?
That would have been smart.
Next time.
Right.
On Twitter at GoDucksMoseley, at Duck Football. He's Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. When we come back and hear from some of those student athletes from football practice, didn't get to everybody yesterday. Their full interviews coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Deer Spring Showers. These tough Toyotas can handle whatever you got. The rugged Tacoma, trail-ready 4Runner, and the versatile RAV4 Hybrid turn your puddles into playtime. For more, visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Deer Spring Showers. These tough Toyotas can handle whatever you got. The rugged Tacoma, trail-ready 4Runner, and the versatile RAV4 Hybrid turn your puddles into playtime. For more, visit Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here.
I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you in the Country Financial Studio. We're talking about Jeffrey Bassa, a guy who's kind of been a leader. Terrence Ferguson, who's kind of now, last year I feel like ascended to a leadership role for the tight end room, but now it's like the whole team. And I actually talked with Terrence Ferguson about that when we had him on the Oregon Sports Network's pregame show for our Duck football broadcast. And I asked him, like, you're a leader in the tight end room. And he actually said, yeah, but like, guys like Bo are going to lead the whole team. And I thought, that's interesting. Like, you kind of do have that leadership in your position group, and then maybe you become that team leader. I think this year, Terrence Ferguson, poised to have a big year, maybe be one of those team leaders. Talking with the Duck tight end after practice yesterday.
Terrence, first time for a lot of us to speak to players since the offseason. What did Coach Lanning's recommitment to this program mean to you, and what was your perspective on that situation?
Oh, that's huge, man. He's a great coach. He's obviously had the opportunities to go other places, and to come back here where we have a really good team and, we're building something special. It just means a lot when a guy like that comes back and really is committed to the team.
Terrence, what brought you back?
Coaches, the team, we had a lot of people coming back, and if you look at a lot of good teams around the nation, they always have people come back that could have went to the draft and could have entered, and they have, like, you look at Washington, they lost a bunch of dudes just because they brought back a lot of seniors and a lot of people that could have went earlier. But, for that success for the team, and I wanted to win something here that meant something. I wanted to be part of something special. And, with Coach Lanning and my coach and just everybody around is special. I want to be part of that one more time.
How much thought did you put into it? I mean, how long did it take to make that decision?
A long time. I prayed about it forever, and God really put it on my heart. It took up until really when everyone else found out that I decided to come back, actually, because I was really split about it, and it took a long time.
The basketball, you said it could go either way, and you were going to lean on your family. I'm just curious just what those conversations were like and what played a factor for you.
Yeah, I talked to my family, I prayed about it, and that really big my faith, and I had my biggest dream ahead of me of going to the NFL, and I think that will always be there. And God's blessed me to be able to be here. And so I prayed about it and talked to my family, kind of just back and forth. And there's some stuff I wanted to accomplish in college still, So that was like the biggest thing, was there's still stuff left on the table here before I need to even move up to the next level.
What are those things that are left here?
The biggest one is winning a national championship and then winning a Big Ten championship now. I've been here 3 years, been to a couple of Pac-12 championships, but I haven't come out on top of one of those. So that's something that I want to be a part of that will never go away.
What's your experience been like kind of training with Dylan?
Oh, he's amazing, man. He's been really good. He's a good dude off the field, and he's easy to get along with. And he's really particular about his craft. He goes out and he works. We've worked in the off-season a ton, day in and day out, and he's a hard worker and wants to be perfect, and he strives for it, and he does a lot of special things, and so I'm excited to play with him as well.
You're closing in on quite a few Oregon records for tight end. Did that play any role in you coming back? Did you keep your eye? I mean, are you looking at those records at all?
Not really. Honestly, you guys are the ones who always tell me I'm even close to any of those. I didn't know there's any of those even remotely close, actually. I'm just blessed to honestly be able to play here at an amazing school for that many years, to be able to be close to something like that.
Terrence, I know you mentioned the team goals, but what are kind of some of the individual nuances of your game that you're trying to improve over this next year before next year's draft process?
There's a lot of different things. I got a lot of pointers from people at the next level, and then coaches, like what could push my draft stock to the next level. I want to get more physical at the point of attack and be able to really hold down the C area even more. I want to be able to run better routes and getting out of my breaks a little better. I could go on for a long time, actually. I think there's a lot. That's a big reason also I came back, is to get better at a lot of those things that I think I'm not fully developed in. And so I think those are just some of the big ones.
Who were some of those people who you talked to, or who gave you advice?
Really, Coach Lanning. I talked to a lot of people outside of the program that have been in the NFL, and guys in the past and stuff like that.
So when Coach Stein says he's got to get you more targets already, and that's a point of emphasis, I'm sure that, yes, makes you quite happy.
Yeah.
What is so far the meeting's been? What is whatever adjustments of the playbook there are? You don't have to get into details, but just what that might look like for you.
You know, I think he does a good job just trying to get the ball in playmakers' hands, and I'm honored for him to even say that about me. But it's just really been similar stuff that we have, and just kind of switching around little things of personnel and putting people in different situations. But it's pretty much similar offense.
When you talk about offseason development stuff, Terrence, does tight end you and what Kelsey and those guys put together, if that was an opportunity for you, they usually pick out about 5 or 10 college guys. Yeah. I don't know if they've contacted you, but if they did after spring, would that be something you want to do? Would you be interested in?
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested. You know, those are the best of the best. Those are the guys that I look up to. I watch a bunch of film on, and to be able to spend some time with those guys to learn is beyond the experience that I'd like to be a part of.
Dan was talking about leadership and your leadership ability, and with guys like Bo and Troy and all the guys leaving, and with new quarterbacks coming, how important that was for you. You tried to, step up in that regards to that part of your game.
Yeah, I think that's been a big thing I've been trying to be better at in the offseason, just, being a leader. We did lose a lot of guys that had a lot of success here and a lot of leaders on offense especially. So for me, it was big for me to step up. We have a lot of transfers, a lot of people coming in. So I try to step up as much as possible and get out of my comfort zone and speak up. And I've been here for a couple of years, and I've been through a lot of different things through football. So I've been just trying to be there for the young guys and the transfers and everybody so we could have a good culture for the team.
What does that look like for you, stepping up and getting out of your comfort zone?
I think that's, I came in and I was really quiet, and I put my head down and work hard. I think that's kind of what I've been taught is put your head down, work hard until you're in a leadership role, and then you can have time to speak up. And so I've just really been trying to speak up, show people by example of how we do stuff around here at Oregon, so we don't lose the tradition. There's the transfer portal nowadays, and not losing that tradition and the culture here at Oregon. So,
speaking of some of the younger guys, Roger and AJ, two true freshmen, what have you seen from them? And even I guess you can throw Kenyon in there since he's still relatively new.
They're really good athletes. Kenyon is an elite athlete, probably the best athlete on the field out there at all times. He's strong, fast, and Roger's done a great job being able to step in. And both of the young guys have really impressed me learning the playbook. Just getting the knowledge of the game pretty fast. I feel like every year high school kids are learning more and more, so it's easier transition for them. They've really impressed me in like the film room and everything like that.
When you went down to SoCal to work with Dylan, what did you pick up at the jewelry store?
Oh, I didn't pick up anything, man. I'm a humble guy and just trying to save some money for the future.
That's a good answer, I think, right now. Terrence Ferguson, Duck tight end, talking with the media yesterday. Quick timeout when we come back to the defensive side of the ball. Jeffrey Bossa, going to hear from one of the team leaders on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans,
Maddie Park raised over $250,000 to donate cab rides to the Asian community.
There is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
Support the Asian community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Linebacker Jeffrey Bassa, an all-conference caliber player. He met with the media yesterday talking about a number of topics surrounding spring football.
Yeah. We talked back at the Fiesta Bowl, Jeff, about being a green dot, and now you get to literally be a green dot now that there's mic'd up helmets. So what's that like so far in practice, just working with that, and what you think that might allow you to do on the field?
Yeah, it's been great so far. Honestly, it's really nothing new to me. Communication-wise, I think that's one of the major things in my game is, being a great communicator. So I think it's just the opportunities that, that the game of college football is translating to, that, it's a wonderful opportunity for us to, from the coach to talk to me directly from the sideline and tell me what to look for.
Who else is getting a chance to do that so far?
Yeah, so far, a lot of the young guys. Jerry Mixon's been in the mix. Obviously, Justin Jacobs as well. And then Devin Jackson as well.
There's a lot of messages in the offseason about from players about what Coach Lanning's recommitment to this program meant. I mean, what did it mean to you to have that security with Coach coming back, and what does he mean to you just as character?
It meant the world to me, sitting in his office and having those conversations with him, during the season and then obviously in the off season, just knowing that those were real and authentic conversations. Loyalty is a big thing to me, and I'm so excited for the future with him, and excited for the future with this program.
Your decision to come back, how much did that factor in, and just what were the processes for you to make that decision?
Could you repeat that again?
Your decision to come back to school, how important was it for Dan's commitment? How much of a factor was that for you? And then just what were the things that you factored into your own decision to come back?
Obviously some things like where I'd get drafted in the draft, looking at my tape, realizing that, some of the things I could get better at, and then also realizing that, we're going to the Big Ten, and there's opportunities in the Big Ten for me, to showcase, my talent, and then also as a team to come back and, have one last more ride with these guys like Jordan Burch, Terrence Ferguson, and little things like that. So obviously there was a lot of more factors, talking with family and a whole lot of prayer, but, little things like that is what, brought that decision for me.
What are the things that you said that you could get better at or show that, the opportunities in the Big Ten? What are those things that you're looking forward to showing?
Yeah, I would say, just playing more in the run. Big Ten is, known for the run, and then obviously you have those outlier teams like Ohio State and stuff like that like to pass the ball. And so I think just me showcasing that in the Big Ten, would fully satisfy my showcase as a linebacker.
Did you and Justin sort of make your decision to come back together, or did you guys have any communication over that, or what did that look like?
Yeah, just a little bit. It was kind of some of the things, that we could do together, being, a 1-2 punch in the Big Ten, and then also being a 1-2 punch as the best linebackers in the nation as well. So obviously we had some little things where, like I said just previously about where we'd go in the draft and stuff like that, and sitting down in the mirror and looking in the mirror and realizing that we can do this for one more year. You know what I mean? So we had a good first year, but an elite second year would push us past the limits.
And I know he was a little dinged Justin at this point last year. What's it been like going through a full healthy offseason with him and just working towards hopefully a healthy year?
It's been amazing. I mean, just having them out there by my side. Either when we're running sprints or just out there, communicating to each other, being leaders. I think that leadership standpoint shows up a lot in the offseason, and I think that's been great for him to, be fully healthy, fully around the guys 100%, and people are starting to realize who he is as a leader and also who he is as a person.
What are you guys talking about the impact that Bo and Dorless had of coming back for a fifth season and what it could do for a draft potential? Did that factor in at all, just seeing how much it helped them when you were making your decision of just past success of other guys doing that?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's fully on some of the guys realizing what they could do and changing their bodies, and then also realizing the multiple opportunities that they have in the new schedule that's ahead. Obviously, Bo and Dorless, we're coming back to another Pac-12 schedule, but then also, I think those guys also had the same conversations that I had with people and coaches and scouts and hearing all this intel from other people. So I think just the little opportunities that anytime you have an opportunity to come back and, you know, better yourself, you know, I think, you know, you always want to take that opportunity. So
what were you and Justin working on in Miami this past week or two? Really enjoying the Lamborghini.
Yeah,
what else were you?
For sure. Yeah, it was a little bit, you know, just we in our program we call this thing POU, or in our defense, power of unit. Tosh always talks about it, and you know, me and Justin decided to take a little trip down to Miami with him, and some of his friends from Ohio. So, you know, just going out there, hanging out, you know, just being guys, and then, you know, having come back to work.
Where were you working out?
No, so I was working. So I started in Miami, and then I went to LA and worked out in LA for a little bit.
When Tosh put together the point of attack tape for you, you have a lot of it. So what's your point of attack for the spring?
Yeah, point of attack for sure would have to be edge rushing. I feel like right now my interior rushes are pretty good, but there's always room for improvement. So working off the edge, and then also just dominating in the run, you know, using techniques in the run, you know, whether that's, you know, maintaining my weight or just finding little techniques that I see on film that I could get better at.
You're a big fashion guy. Are you on the group that's involved in the uniforms that Kenny Farr video came out?
I was indeed, and we got some stuff cooking. I was indeed, yeah.
What's that process like, and what are your thoughts early on the tease of the uniforms?
Yeah, it was great. You know, just to sit down there in the room with Kenny and just, you know, seeing everything that he had planned for the year, you know, to the little details that he does with, you know, what helmet we're gonna wear, what socks we're gonna wear with this, and it was just amazing, you know, just to be part of history. I know that, you know, this is gonna be a huge year with the uniforms and stuff like that. I know a lot of people are excited for it. So.
Who else is in on that uniform group?
What was that?
Who else is in on that uniform group?
It was me, Marcus Harper, which was surprising. Marcus Harper, Tez, and then Trayshawn Holden.
We'll tell Marcus you said that.
Yeah.
What's it been like going up against Dylan and just kind of getting used to, you know, I'm sure the ball looks a little bit different coming out of his lefty hand. So what's it been like going up against him so far this spring?
Yeah, you know, first off, I want to say, you know, Dylan's done a great job coming into a new program. I think, you know, his leadership role and what he's done, you know, just from the offensive side of the ball, you know, with filling in the shoes of Bo from last year, I think he's been doing a great job of that, first off. And then it's been great playing against him. You know, he's a very veteran type quarterback, you know. It obviously is different playing against a left-handed quarterback, but, you know, got to change up some things defensively. And, you know, I'm not used to dropping to my left as I am dropping to my right. But, you know, it's just been great seeing him and, you know, him progress from, you know, off-season workouts all the way to the spring. So,
talking about Dylan Gabriel, lefty looks a little different on the field. I can confirm. That was Jeffrey Bossa meeting with the media. Heard from him, Terrence Ferguson. Thanks to Rob Moseley. A lot to cover. Baseball on the road. Ryan Milano is with you tomorrow. I'm on the road with Duck Baseball again. Going to be fun. Talking with Oregon lacrosse head coach Jess Drummond. They're at home on Saturday. We got that for you on the show tomorrow as well. See you then.
Put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A